evils. One Christmas Eve, casually I was walking down the street. One Christmas Eve, casually I was walking down the street. I was attracted by the voice of a little boy as he strolled along the street, no shoes on his feet. As he walked, he continued to repeat, listen mama, I want you to tell Santa Claus to bring a trumpet and a concertina for me. I'm so lonely and have no children close by me. Ma, you don't know how happy your son will be. Hey. Drink a rum and a punch of cream. Drink a rum. Mama, drink if you're drinking. Drink a rum and a punch of cream. Drink a rum. This is Christmas morning. Drink a rum and a punch of cream. Drink a rum. Yo. Drink a rum and a punch of cream. Drink a rum. Mama, mama. I am over here in this very lovely country, darling, for the Christmas. I hope everything is happy. Come and join the chorus, cause we're going to have a party. Drink a rum and a punch of cream. Drink a rum. This is Christmas morning. Drink a rum and a punch of cream. Drink a rum. I say drink if you're drinking. Drink a rum and a punch of cream. Drink a rum. This is Christmas morning. Drink a rum and a punch of cream.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. A pleasant good morning to all and sundry. We just had a debate there in the background there. I was saying it's not barren. And of course, the expert and the historian said that that is in fact barren. So we had to prove it. And he was proven to be correct. So not that he is infallible, but, you know, it happens to people like myself. So I don't feel infallible. What I feel is that I'm a human being after all. And I should get no other accolade but to be a human being, and to err is to be human. That being as it may, the fact is that we are here on a Sunday morning. Yes, drink a rum and a punch of creamer. You can talk about, of course, all of the excitement of the season, but at the end of the day, as we specifically state on the corridor transformation, reality must strike afterwards. And with that reality, that and all determines the quality and the extent and the pleasurability of Christmas as we know it traditionally to be. And that is because there are factors beyond our individual control, but collectively we can, of course, influence in order to make certain that we have, at least in the future, it may not be this Christmas, but certainly future Christmases, that we have a better, what we consider to be traditional Christmas, as opposed to being penny pinching. And of course, looking at who comes into your home, but more than that, if you do invite people to your home, you're watching at the ham and you're watching at the liquor and all of the other goodies that is associated, to see whether it's a greedy crowd or a what I consider to be a reasonable and discerning crowd. But in some instances, people close up all entirely and get out of it so that no one can come by them. But however, if they close up and get out of it, bet your bottom dollar they're going by somebody. All right? And then therefore, that Christmassy feeling would have to be extended to them. It's just that on this occasion, they will be, of course, a guest rather than a host in their own, of course, environment and a place of influence. That being as it may, we have some crucial issues as far as the reality is concerned. And what is the reality? We have a situation where Dr. Rowley, the Prime Minister of this country, told us in a press conference this week. So we are looking at this week issues. Of course, Dr. Khalid will, of course, give you his version. You know, he loves to treat with those young people and the gravitation or the proliferation or the existential threat as far as crime and criminality, gravitation, and of course, looking for solution as far as where they can exhibit and exhaust, if you could use that term, that pent-up energy that could be directed in other places. But I'll leave that up to the expert, Dr. Khalid, who, is, of course, is working with those young people, not necessarily from Mova, Lavatil, and so on, but people who would find themselves there as we talk right now. We're talking to the whole world. So, but that being as it may, my point is that welcome, have a wonderful program and the rest of the day, because of course we have to go back tonight as well. But at the same time, we send our salutations to East, West, North, Central in Trinidad, our friends in Tobago, the most what I consider to be northeasterly of the corridor transformation, and in particular, of course, beginning from Chagaramas in the west to Toko in the east. That is our focus. That is the population. That is the target audience. But of course, it has to relate. We are not isolated. We cannot be island unto to ourselves. We cannot pretend, bury our heads in the sand and pretend that there isn't a rest of Trinidad and Tobago. And the impact sociologically, economically, culturally, crime-wise, etc., that other parts or we would have on other parts of the country in terms of the area we are focusing on, the East-West corridor. But as I said preliminarily, that we are going to look at the situation with Venezuela. We have to, and of course the question of dragon gas, the position of the government, whether they have the moral or ethical authority to even, as some people say, venture into a mediatory role, and all of those things as far as the Guyana-Venezuela conflict in this part of the world, in this region, and in this hemisphere. That being as it may, I think I've said enough. Pleasant welcome back, Dr. Khalid. We missed you last Sunday, but it was due to circumstances beyond our collective and individual control. That being as it may, good morning to you, and of course, how has been your weekend so far?
Good, good. We had a program in the center yesterday.
Yes.
Home in the center.
Yes.
Because I'm always there, so that's my home.
Good.
Right. For some kids, and it was a baby shower, and we turned it into a little fun thing for the kids. Sunday coming, we're gonna be having our frolic for the children.
Okay, that's it in celebration in concert with the season, I suppose, right? Oh,
yes,
within the context,
with the
yes.
season.
Okay.
We still accepting donations and things.
All right.
Like that. So far we have eats for them, so the toys might be
a little more challenge.
Yes.
All right.
But we're working on it.
All right.
And hopefully next year, God's willing, will be much better, because 2 years ago we weren't able to do anything.
Yeah.
We didn't want 2023 to pass without doing something for the kids. But you know, on a more upbeat thing, it's about pulling things together.
Yes.
Pulling things together and doing something to take care of this country.
Yeah. But you and I mean, have been in the vineyard, so to speak. We have been, of course, engaged and engaging the wider community, immediate, and of course other stakeholders by extension, in order to address the socio-economic and psycho-cultural problems of the area that we have chosen and laid our bucket down to serve.
Yeah.
But there was a slight, not a major one, but I thought I would raise it with you because I thought it was, from where I stand, was logical that will be an activity of people like us, leaders and organizers within the community of organizations, as well as service to the wider community. But the question of having to solicit assistance from external elements, whether it's individuals, whether it's companies, whether it be government, etc. How crucial that is for the success of such an effort, or is it that people expect that you would dip your hand in your pocket? Sometimes you're unemployed, or you do not have the excess liquidity in order to, of course, assist. And why it is that it is so important that you bring together all stakeholders, because every single person who you would have approached, solicited for assistance, certainly must realize that they are a stakeholder in making certain that the effort that you are making, the young people in particular, and making them joyous around this time, or educating them, or facilitating, as we are doing now, for example, that is a cost. Why would people? Is it that because of? And I'm not using ignorance here in terms of stupidity. I'm using ignorance in terms of lack of knowledge. You simply don't know or don't understand. So why would someone say that you ought not to be so engaged? I want to leave it to you. I'm not going to influence. I have my own views, but go ahead.
I understand what you're saying. But yeah, what it is, Lennox. It is people. First, you must realize you're living in a cosmopolitan society.
Right.
Right? You have Africans, you have East Indians, you have the Syrians, you have the...
And the mix.
Right, the mix, right? Mm-hmm. But where the economics is concerned, right? Mostly people of African descent and 1 or 2 East Indians have that challenge. The African challenge is mainly that our ancestors were in the early days, that's a fact, into business. Who want to know that? I could even let them read their favorite Eric Williams and all that. So that's a fact. But for some reason or the other, we have not continued that business trend on a larger scale.
Right.
There are 1 or 2 sprinkling of Africans here or there into the business, because the business people, together with the government, are the ones that give those communities a booster with a social program.
Right.
Example, you don't have that problem that we have in Shogunas,
right,
and Grandy and those other areas. Those people in the Syrian areas who want to do something for the social program don't have that problem.
Right.
They could get together and come up with some funding and they have all the strings into the government that will give them it. Right. We have that challenge, and that is the onus is on us to overcome that, because we have been there in the vineyard. And I will tell you, to me, one of the main things is there's a big fall on the political end, because the political directorate must understand that you have to do something in order to keep the society calm, along with all the training. You can have all the my tab and the my lap and the this and the that. It must reach the people.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I understand the government rule, because the fact is that you are actually doing more efficaciously and more economically what the government should be doing. But the private sector and the individuals, is it that they must recognize that they are obligated, that it is in their interests, and therefore must make a contribution to the peace and security? I think the first time I heard that term was with Dr. Diosaran, emeritus lecturer at the former lecturer at the UE in sociology and politics and so on, when he talked about psychological and social capital. And what he meant by that, and what the term means, is that the investment that the society must make for peace and security, very significant. Social and psychological capital is the investment the society must make for peace and security. In other words, those who have the resources at their disposal, and there are those who are in a state of impecuniarity, meaning that they don't have money, but there are those like Dr. Khalid that are willing to facilitate, even though they can do like the rest and leave, but they do not have the financial wherewithal either. They have the program, they have the intellect, they have the value system, and they have the attitudinal requirement. What they do not have is the capital. And of course, this psychological and social capital investment is really and truly, because at the end of the day, those very youths that we neglect because of the lack of input will come and rob. I mean, all logic and common sense included. That is a natural corollary of neglecting a section of the society that can create pain, ache, agony on top of the other challenges that the society would have. Dr. Khalid, your comments.
Well, yes. The thing is, Lennox, we need support from the private sector also. We need that kind of support. We need assistance with fundraising and things like that. Because people have to understand, if you do not get some type of okay, let me put it this way. If they don't try to get involved,
yes,
and you divorce yourself from that and saying that is not my problem, those who are neglected going to find themselves over by you, looking for whatever they could find over there. That is the reality.
That's the reality, yes.
So you have to find a way to work with all those who are willing to take the thing, because it's the same thing I told some guys last week. This guy, well, he's all right, and he's saying, well, that is not his problem, and he moved away to a gated community, and
he's comfortable there.
Well, nobody think he's all that, but I told him, I say, here what? They're going to find themselves over there, because you could make an input. You could make an intellectual input. You could even assist financially. You could train these kids because you have some skills and things. But rather than doing that, you want to stay at the side and just criticize. And you see, one of the problems is we don't use history to guide us.
Yes.
When you look at all those mass movements, especially those recent mass movements from, let's say, I would say from 1937 to now, the guys who were able to come to the front, like the Butlers, the Colarienses, and the Malcolm X, and the Martin Luther Kings, and all these guys, and even the Barack Obama, these are people who had a vision, but they were able to gather mass support in order to do some things, because you have to do some kind of training. You have to organize people. They must be able to calm people down, because right now, for example, a lot of people hurting. This is a society that is in pain. People don't understand the pain that that it have out there. It is easy to talk and criticize and nitpick at people. But to hold a group together is very, very hard. And Lennox, forgive me, but I have to include some politics.
Yeah, go ahead. Because I was leaving that for last. That's why I bifurcated it. I talked about the private sector and the individuals as opposed to government. I was coming to the government, but go right ahead. You can preempt it as you wish. That was my thinking.
First, the politics I want to include right now is like the opposition politics.
Okay.
There's a case to be made, right, for all those who want to nitpick and attack Kamala, rather than giving her the kudos that she deserves. Because let's face it, and I don't want anyone to be annoyed, and if you're annoyed, feel free. I will just take calm.
Yes. In your usual slightedness, somebody that way. Go ahead.
But Kamala, I admire a lot for the ability to hold on to a rowdy group. She hold on, excuse me, people, to an unruly group who are accustomed just fighting and fighting. And she hold on to it, and she has been able to win. And all those who want to demonize her, I'm sure if you call an internal election right now, the same ones will have to come second or third or fourth or fifth. And a distant second too. Lose by 10,000 votes or more. The time has come for us to realize that the reason why the PNM would always beat a divided opposition is because the opposition continue beating up on themselves. And they're not seeing the bigger picture. You think that the PNM don't have their internal problems? All the Kamala bashers, she this and she that and she the other. When you look at Kamala and you look at Rowley, well, what do you want to say? Rowley don't have no faults? What do you want to say? People not calling Rowley name? You're too busy just destroying yourself rather than focusing on what we got to go at. What we have to go at is you have a PNM who have been there since 56 and who have been sleeping on the job. In many ways, they've been sleeping on the job. When you look at Eric Williams and he said that the future was in the book bag and this and that, and okay, all that was good, you know. But the same Kamala turn around and tell you that the future for our kids was in the laptop. She provided that. She gave a vision, a way to force forward how we should go. She only had one term, but one hard term. You hear how much hard I put out there?
Yes, several.
Because she had a whole set of these intellectuals, because intellectuals just like to fight among themselves, who feel they have all the answers.
So what, you're criticizing yourself? I consider you to be an intellectual.
I'm like that sometimes too. You're like that sometimes too, because I know you are. I just consider you to be one. I know you are.
Yeah. Nice retort.
So
yes.
But I'm making the point
that
if we get the bigger picture levels, we'll be able to pull this thing together because the country needs us.
Yes.
We are the ones that we've been waiting on. That's a phrase that Barack Obama used that I like to use it.
Good.
We are the ones. Ain't no angel coming out of the cloud to do the work that we got to do. Right now, Trinidad and Tobago need us. They try everybody else. So they need people like you and me and my brother Carson Charles. And another thing, Carson is an overlooked guy, but he's a super intellectual.
Yes.
He is a visionary. He understands how to pull things together. And when you see a guy like him would work with Kamala anytime, because they talk all the time, so he would work with her anytime.
Yes.
because we know we need to come together to pull a super team together and do what we have to do. Because if you don't fix this political problem that we have, you won't be able to fix the other problems.
Great.
I'm making sense.
A lot of sense, but let's just interject here. Of course, you can call us at 337-6940. Anytime the lines are open, and of course, I know you are making your comments and so on, but 337-6940. And if you want to, of course, assist the corridor transformation, of course, Christmas drive, yes. I think my assistant spoke about it last night, but if you still have some kakadas to spare, or you have a couple tins of items, I'm sure that she would be able to accommodate and find good use for it. So call 337-6940. That is right now on air for us, and then 336-6594. 336-6594. I don't know if Dr. Khalid wants to, of course, give a number for him. We cannot put it up, but in terms of he's looking for some assistance as well, and not necessarily from the people in Mover and Environment and Mover proper and Laventille and so on, but certainly people outside. So if he so desires, well, of course, you can call the same number, and if you say it is for Dr. Khalid and his effort, well, certainly we will be able to accommodate. So 336-6594, 336-6594, if you want to make a contribution to making, of course, indigent, as they like to call it, or poorer than poor families, experience a better Christmas than they would otherwise be able to. Then, of course, you can call our assistants at that number. Once again, that number is, of course, 336-6594, 336-6594. Yes, Dr. Kal, I left, of course, the government side for that because I too share your view, and that is. And of course, from what you're saying, I take it for granted that the population is dissatisfied from your assessment as to the contemporary and existential, if not the existential situation as far as addressing the question of poverty, the question of our youths, the question of generating employment opportunities, the question of education, the question of youth and sports, the question of dealing with agriculture, the question of dealing with social distribution and the ministry that is responsible for it. And of course, one has to put in that package, in that matrix, the whole question of community development, because community development plays a vital role in, of course, not only socializing young people, but the entire community into a network, or into a coalesce, into a solid team that could make contribution to the wider society, thus achieving the objective of making Trinidad and Tobago achieve its objective towards development, and not, as some people would say, and former president said, a possible failed state. Not me. A president said, are we? And of course, I heard, and that resonated with me, so I could share it with you when Paula May Weeks asked the question on an Independence, in an Independence Day message. She said, if the founders of this country, the founding fathers of this country, with a great ideals for Trinidad and Tobago, if they were here, would they have been proud? Would they have been appreciative of the mustard seed that they would have planted, hoping that it will evolve into a great oak tree? But it turns out to be, of course, a disappointment. In other words, and I think she recoined the phrase 5,000 or something. So Frenchmen can't be wrong. But that being as it may, the role of government and therefore the dissatisfaction. Of course, I share the view with Dr. Khalid, that the Kamala Prasad Bisasa administration and the UNC has a proclivity, a propensity to be much more humane, to be much more people-centered. You heard Dr. Rowley talking at his last press conference, I think it was Thursday, and you can't feel the humaneness. What you're seeing is just dollars and cents, something like a accountant. They only see numbers and not, of course, people. And that is so significant for advancing Trinidad and Tobago. So when it was told to the government to try to mediate somewhere between Guyana and Venezuela, make some kind of intervention, it cannot be just a simple, what I consider to be superficial no without analyzing what that means. Obviously, consideration was given to the unique relationship. Remember, it was the Minister of Energy that told us he had several flights to Venezuela, so much that he cannot recall. One, it was this administration that sent outside of what expectation, an ambassador to Venezuela. And of course, it was this government that defended Maduro and his administration when the Americans impose sanctions. And I say so because I see Delcy Rodriguez, the vice president, coming here under COVID, leaving our own citizens outside there, but bringing in that person. That to me is not insignificant, and therefore it is only correct for anybody with a modicum, a potpourri of common sense, to ask and to invite Dr. Rowley and his administration to see whether or not he can talk to the Venezuelans, because at least to observe international decisions based on the international, of course, a Court of Justice decision, that everything remain in place until they make a firm decision. How the parties want to, of course, handle their business, but to talk bellicose and to engage in belligerence, I think, of course, clearly requires that a government that is so close to the Venezuelan administration, that is the aggressor, that at least they can make an input. Now, from what Dr. Rowley has said, it appears that they are not prepared to, or they are not engaged. You see, if he had remained silent and probably used words like, you never could tell, or you would be surprised, then I know that some diplomatic agenda and initiative is taking place in the background in spite of CARICOM's position. But to hide behind CARICOM's position, yes, I agree with all the commentators that say it is an attempt to hide as opposed to being proactive and to capitalize on the good relationship over the years with Venezuela and that regime in particular, because they still have not recognized Guaido. So therefore one can say that their propensity, and having regard to what was said at the United Nations, it means therefore that there's a unique and special relationship, quite apart from the geographic distance of 7 miles only, shorter than that of Tobago. And therefore one would have expected that Dr. Rowley and they would be at least projecting and making overtures, and of course, whether subliminally or overtly, telling us that, yeah, their diplomatic efforts are being pursued to make certain that the status quo remain, as of course outlined by the International Court of Justice recent decision. But we have heard no such thing. They just flatly denied and will not want to engage, and their position is hiding behind the CARICOM declaration that they are in support of their CARICOM colleague, Guyana. That is not sufficient for, you see, no other country in the Caribbean has been or is as close to the Maduro administration as this administration. So why not capitalize on it? why not at least say, I will see what I can do, but don't say you cannot say or you cannot do anything and that it is poor advice, etc. No, it's a dereliction. When we will be looking at the possibility of war in the region, in spite of the fact that there is the superficial, superfluous, mainly not looking at the reality and the possibility to say that you want the place to remain war-free or a peaceful zone. That cannot be accomplished without efforts. And what the Venezuelan administration is promoting does not suggest that it could facilitate or foment peace. And therefore, Rowley and it is right. And all of the CARICOM countries, they have not spoken out. So therefore, I suspect that they are in agreement that because of the special relationship between the Rowley administration and Maduro, and they expect that they will use whatever clout, whatever influence in order, of course, to bring sense and stability and assurances to the region and between, of course, a CARICOM partner, Guyana, and that of Venezuela. Dr. Khalid.
Yes, you're correct. You see that situation between Guyana and Venezuela?
Yes.
That is something that has been there for a while.
Yeah.
Very long time.
Well, in 1899 decision, Venezuela did appear to have abided by it. I think it has been renewed with the discovery of resources there, drilling and gas and oil and because those things were always there. But why not now? But, or it could also be that an election is coming up, presidential election is coming up next year on the behest or the demand of the United States in exchange for withdrawing all sanctions. Right. And of course, what could be happening is that domestic politics that has become a popular sentiment and riling up, of course, the emotions of the people, as you like to say. Something like what Dr. Rowley did when he realized that his political stock was waning and that he was so emaciated politically that he started to talk about bananas and he and no monkey. And of course, riding up the emotions of the African community, and they fell for the trap. And today, of course, Petrotrin has not regained or improved, and of course, their circumstance has deteriorated in the what I consider to be the southwestern quadrant of Trinidad and Tobago. 65,000 people are simply facing poverty, hopelessness, and of course, a sense of being nowhere in no man's land. That being as it may, Dr. Khalid, any additional information? Because I want to make sure that we ventilate this problem. But of course, I did it in concert with the whole issue of stability in Trinidad and the young people having a sense of belonging and a sense of understanding their role and responsibility. Let's go straight, of course, to the lines. We give you.
No.
No. I'm online now. Yeah. That's a personal call. All right. So we have put that in the context of developmental issues and the role and responsibility of our children to make certain that they are able to treat with the issues of Trinidad and Tobago and their role and responsibility to make certain that they do what is required in order to give them an opportunity to prosper and to be as optimum as possible in terms of their training, their learnings, etc., etc. Dr. Khalid.
Well, you see, the thing is, Lennox, this is the time that Trinidad and Tobago need to do some kind of thing to promote the same young people that we're talking about. If we don't, the situation will get worse. When you look at the world, you see where the world is heading.
Yes.
And if you notice that the superpowers in the world actually sort of winning, you look at the West, you look at America, you look at Europe, you look at you look at France, I call it the three big boys. And when you look at Russia and China, you see China and Russia actually making some headway, especially in the Middle East. All the programs, all the problems they have up there, people in the Middle East gravitated towards China and Russia. So you can't tell me we here would not have some kind of effect. So you need leaders who are prepared to pull the society together and engage, because the economic situation will get worse. It could either get better if you sort of embrace the opportunity, you will be able to get some kind of different gas deals and do some things for your people, or either it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
Because look at China right now. China's main resources is what? Human.
Yeah, it's people, over 5.5 billion people, yeah.
And they put that thing to use where people are being taught to do all kind of things. I can remember at one time reading something, and in China they were trading children between the age of 5 to 7 to make a face watch.
Okay.
And different things. They need to bring out that genius, because all of us have genius in us. You need to bring it out, and it's the younger you start, it's better.
Yeah, I agree.
So we need to look at this, and like I say, I'll go back to opposition. Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Kamla is in a unique position right now, because she has gained experience.
Yes, a lot, boy.
And she could hold things together, and she could wheel and deal. Those who want to say she don't have the talent, they just, one, being unfair, or two, something wrong with
and their logic. But having said that, let's go and take a look at this, and then of course we will do our own, of course, evaluation. As I said, the lines are open, 337-6940, 337-6940, and of course you can don't feel you are interrupting us when you call. We will just stop, and don't take on the green verb, yellow verb. That is not a consideration here. Once we can understand you, please call and, of course, make your contribution. Yeah. So let's hear what...
Dr. Rowley tells the ministers that it's time to cut back the spending. One way of doing that is to create new arrangements for government travel. He says ministers will not be flying all over the world because it's not necessary, and the country cannot afford it. He says that's quite the opposite of what the former administration did.
I think it's extremely wasteful for the Prime Minister to fly for 600.
That was accidentally, people, but I think it was fortuitous as well. Accidentally fortuitous, because, I mean, here it is, Dr. Rowley was criticizing Kamala for flying, and he has gotten the optimum prize for frequent flyer. So I think we should listen to it. Listen to him again. Let's start it over. As I said, it was accidental. I wanted to, of course, show where Kamala Prasad Bisesa is talking vision. Her paradigm shift is one consistent with what transpired between 2010 and 2015, with which all of us could identify with, was progressive and wasn't complaining and blaming the previous administration, etc., which of course we will look at tonight as well in more details.
Dr. Rowley tells the ministers that it's time to cut back the spending. One way of doing that is to create new arrangements for government travel. He says ministers will not be flying all over the world because it's not necessary, and the country cannot afford it. He says that's quite the opposite of what the former administration did.
And I think it is extremely wasteful for the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago to fly for 636 hours in helicopters in the country. The record shows that the last Prime Minister occupied helicopter time of 636 hours, 415 missions at a cost of over $6 million.
Sticking with travel, Dr. Rowley also said all government vehicles must now carry government insignia so that the public can identify them in order to easily prevent the abuse which also happened under the former administration. Dr. Rowley tells his ministers that it's time to cut back the spending. One way of doing that is to create new arrangements for government travel. He says ministers will not be flying all over the world because it's not necessary, and the country...
I think we have heard enough, so we could...
Pass every creed and class, Dolan and Bass.
So we can identify with the hypocrisy that is, of course, has been displayed by Dr. Rowley. I mean, frequent flyer is an understatement, and he has yet to tell us how much that costs. And more than that, he has, of course, organized the increase in his per diem, the amount of money that he gets for flying only to spend, etc. So let's not go there. I think it is pure and unadulterated hypocrisy that he cannot, of course, justify. He cannot justify simply because it is not nestled in truth or moral disposition, and therefore we will not engage at this point in time. Let's go straight, of course, to Kamala Prasad Bisesa and what she had to say in terms of her vision and in terms of making certain that people can really achieve self-determination and self-worth.
PP Plus, solid everywhere.
Like a repetitive, all the love inside away.
And we look at those numbers. We had 31 less seats running on a UNC ticket than the PNM. Less, you know. But we got 43,000 more votes. And if the maths is definitely mathsing, the maths is mathsing in the favor of the United National Congress. And when you transpose those results from the local election and you put them into constituencies, I have good news for you tonight if you didn't do it yet. We have crunched the numbers, and the UNC would have won every single marginal seat when we transpose those results. So don't get distracted and fooled. Do not become distracted. We are on the right pathway. We are heading on the road to victory whenever those elections are called.
So, Dr. Khaled, I think I'm going to pause there just to get your very accurate and what I consider eruditic assessment as to that statement. Are there indicators that what she is saying is in fact so? And having regard to the results of the last election, I'm talking about the local, then of course the one before in 2020, the national elections, where of course she was able to gain a seat over the PNM, take one, Russell one from the PNM, and then of course and the last one forced by the Privy Council, over 60,000 persons have voted for the UNC partnership NTA. Beyond that of the PNM is the PNM, of course, a lame duck, or should I say, is wounded badly. And not yet have fallen, but certainly it seems as though they are badly wounded.
They are badly wounded, and they are a minority government. They have been a minority government. We saw it in 86. We saw it in 83 when the opposition came together and defeated them badly in that local election. We saw it in 86 when they only got 33. They only got three seats, and we were able to get 33. You saw it again when Pandey scraped through and won, and then of course 2010.
Yes.
So who think that the PNM is infallible and they can't lose and la 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 la?
I discussed that last night, because I have yet to say how much PNM under Rowley has lost, but I told them that how much they have lost under Manning, and of course the fact is, and how much the UNC would have won. Vice Dr. Rowley would have been, of course, prime minister. So we'll continue that tonight. I will not venture there, but unless Dr. Khalid wants to go there.
No, but so this is why earlier on I said that one, we have been beating up ourselves, the opposition.
Yes.
By bickering, fighting among ourselves, and don't realize that the PNM is in more pain than us.
Right.
We don't realize that they are so scared that if we don't get our act together, they might just get what I will call a scrape through win. You understand?
Yes.
Because we are the ones who continue to contribute to make the PNM look like they are unbeatable.
and the PNM, of course, projects that image as well. They don't feel to do that. That propaganda machinery is well oiled in that regard. I mean, but it is illusionary. Yes, go ahead, my friend. Sorry.
You know, like you go, hunters will tell you, go in the forest, and not every animal you see in the forest is a fighter, you know.
Yeah.
And he bluff you, and you get so scared, and you go.
You go, yeah. Like me one time, I in Toko, and we were on a donkey, and the donkey coming suddenly. I don't know how, but the donkey coming towards me, and I going towards him. Not me now. I say not me now. I take off. Go ahead.
So, but you know, when you look at it, I think I don't know if you can remember. I'm not sure if I told you after the local government election. I think I had mentioned it to you when I crunched the numbers in the Gomati.
Yes.
I said, from watching at what Gary and the close to 16,000 votes that he got, most of the votes he got is in the Diego Martin area.
Right.
And I am seeing in my mind's eye, and I discussed it with some others who understand the politics, and I'm seeing, from just based on that, at least one of the Diego Martin seats has fallen. If you look at it, and possibly two. And the seats that I think that have been affected and will continue to be affected, we just have to push on and organize. In the Diego Martin area, I'm looking at the Diego Martin Central and Northeast.
All right.
I think.
You're not looking at the Diego Martin West Bay?
No. Listen, man.
I fervently am fixated with Diego Martin West. But go ahead.
I just want to continue. Continue. I'm saying, based on the local government election, right, those seats have been affected, those two. I'm not saying that Rowley is unbeatable.
Okay.
Because in 86, right, Hugh Francis, who was very strong in that area, he lost to Margaret Hector.
That's right, Hector. I remember her, yes.
Yes, nice soul. May God have mercy.
Short,
beautiful.
But powerful, yes.
She died.
Baptist,
Right. But he lose to Margaret Hector. So I'm not going there yet. Because Rowley have something nice coming for him. We have a George Chambers for him. You got to put that together. Remember George Lincoln Myers
defeated him
badly.
Resoundingly, yes.
Yes, sentences. I mean, let's get the politics right.
Yes.
But right now, I'm saying based on what transpired in the last local election, the majority of votes that affected that area there was in those two constituencies that I called there.
Right.
Right? And I'm saying already, in my mind, looking at it, something have started to take effect.
Yes.
And the East-West corridor is not safe by the PNM because once we pull a good team together and all those people who just like to fight, they have too much energy, they want to fight Rowley and the PNM. Kamla Prasad Bisesa is not your enemy. Fight Rowley and the PNM. Put that energy together.
Yeah.
Organize constituency groups and organize different programs, and we continue together. You're outside there, bickering and fighting on social media. I heard, for example, one of my major criticisms, but I have plenty, about Philip Alexander when he has left, I hope, but he has left.
Yeah, he does that in an ephemeral sense, temporary. He seems to be a temporary go and very fickle-minded, very fickle, action-oriented. But go ahead.
Right.
As far as politics is concerned.
So one of the things that I was looking at with Philip Alexander, Philip was criticizing Gary and Kamla in the local election. And like if Gary and Kamla was in power, he was not saying one word, one negative thing about Rowley. Every now and again he remembers somebody say, well, Philip, you forget it. Oh, yes, I'm Rowley, and then he going back to Gary.
Yes.
But we have to focus on them because politically, in my opinion,
we seem to be getting a disruption on the camera. People, just give us 1 second. We are going to be back momentarily. Sorry about that, but that quality we'll try to address momentarily.
That's yeah.
And we look at those numbers. We had 31 less seats running on a UNC ticket than the PNM. Less, But we got 43,000 more votes. And if the maths is definitely mathsing, the maths is mathsing in the favor of the United National Congress. And when you transpose and we look at those numbers, we had 31 less seats running on a UNC ticket than the PNM. Less, But we got 43,000 more votes. And if the maths is definitely mathsing, They matched it in the favor of the United National Congress. And when you transpose those results from the local election and you put them into constituencies, I have good news for you tonight if you didn't do it yet. We have crunched the numbers, and the UNC would have won every single marginal seat when we transpose those results.
I realize that the mic would have been off earlier, so let me just say that our apology, but we had to treat with the camera, even though it is a new camera, but you know, Murphy's Law, and of course, I thought it was important, of course, for you to take note of the numbers. Let's go the numbers again, so you'll have an appreciation as to the electability and to, in a real sense, dismiss the, I wouldn't want to say controversy, but certainly the mischief makers as far as the suitability of Kamala Persad-Bissessar is concerned. You see, you have to take note as not only the criticism of Kamala Persad-Bissessar, but those who are criticizing themselves are not saying that they want to be, nor have they been able to recommend someone to replace Kamala Persad-Bissessar. So it boils down to mischief. And somebody who has a chip on the shoulder and talking because they have a voice box, because they have a hole in the face, an orifice called a mouth, and they have the gifts of speech. In a democracy where you could say almost anything, of course, limited to not offending another. So truth is critical, even though, of course, in politics, we have something called picong, where, of course, it is not usually a person will take someone to court for that one. But that is picong, that is mischief. So let's hear Kamala again on the numbers, consequential of the last local government elections.
And we look at those numbers. We had 31 less seats running on a UNC ticket than the PNM. Less, you know. But we got 43,000 more votes. And we look at those numbers. We had 31 less seats running on a UNC ticket than the PNM. Less, you know. But we got 43,000 more votes.
Dr. Khaled, as I said last night, that the popular vote is crucial.
Yeah.
And I say crucial from the perspective of the significance placed on it in the 2019 local government elections, when Dr. Rowley and they say that popular vote counts. So you cannot say it counts when you are at disadvantage end because you don't want to accept defeat. So you say that you got the popular vote. Well, the UNC got the popular vote, and therefore one can conclude, based on the standards set by Dr. Rowley and the PNM, that they overwhelmed the PNM. That they overwhelmed the PNM. Stay in focus, Dr. Khalid, and you can talk there.
Yeah. Hello, morning.
Yeah. So we try to to keep it real here. So let's hear Kamala Persad-Bissessar again.
And if the maths is definitely mathsing, the maths is in the favor of the United National Congress. And when you transpose those results from the local election and you put them into constituencies, I have good news for you tonight if you didn't do it yet. We have crunched the numbers, and the UNC would have won every single marginal seat when we transpose those results. So don't get distracted and fooled. Do not become distracted. We are on the right pathway. We are heading on the road to victory whenever those elections are called. Christmas. So many councillors and MPs.
So, Dr. Khaled, how credible is that statement?
Lennox, it is very
meaning that they crunch the numbers, marginal seats would have come in favor of the UNC.
Yeah, yes, and this is the point I was making earlier on. But I had just focused on the Diego Martin area to make, all right, because one can argue and say, right, that the UNC areas, Kamla, have the edge in the UNC area, but the PNM have the edge in their area. But why I'd focus on the Diego Martin? Because since 86, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, the opposition have not been able to wrestle any one of these seats.
You're quite right, yes.
Right, okay. But based on the intervention of Gary and the NTA and the strengthening that I know will take place with other opposition groupings, right?
Yes.
We will be able to wrestle one or two of those seats, or maybe all three, right? So this is why I can say that what Kambla have said is credible.
Good. And of course, with our own analysis and from where we stand, because they did not do anything in Tobago, is it a fait accompli that the PNM is out of the running for Tobago, and therefore we could safely say right now that they have 20 seats only?
Right. Well, yeah, what happened, the Tobago thing started to give them some hope. But if you notice, they are boiled down now, because in Tobago, those young men, Pali and Duke, had a problem with just a normal thing, ego, play back and forth. Now they're starting to settle down. The more mature side of them started to take effect, because the more mature politicians over there, I wouldn't call name, talking to them and settling them down.
Yes.
So I'm saying that the PNM bet was to try and take back something in Tobago. I don't see it.
Yeah. Great. And, no conversation could end, because, Tobago is the most easterly and northeasterly part of the corridor, so we must focus on Tobago. Tobago, of course, you can call now as well, 337-6940. Dr. Rowley had said to Farley when he presented those videos and audios in the THA House of Assembly, claiming that he, Dr. Rowley, and other players, including, of course, the Commissioner of Police, and we have no evidence to show otherwise. Neither has Dr. Rowley brought and advanced any evidence. What we know is that a special team of officers was sent from Trinidad to Tobago to look at those audios that were circulating, purporting to be plans by the Farley administration to utilize state resources to promote his political party and the agenda of Farley and others. I mean, nothing new. The PNM has done it, of course, and I'm sure that in their strategic meetings, the UNC would have done it as well. But to make it a criminal matter and a criminal investigation, that could only be the pernicious, malicious hands of the PNM. But of course, Dr. Rowley has wiped his hand from it. But the point I'm making is that he called in that scenario, he called Farley a upstart, a neophyte. And then he said that Farley will know who is his better. Is better. I think those are fundamental and profound words. Dr. Rowley seemed not to believe that he is there in the office of Prime Minister on the behest of the electorate. So too, Farley, how could you arrogate unto yourself some superior ascendancy or acquisition of the office that you hold than that of Fali. I mean, it is amazingly, in my view, stupid. It is clearly a narcissist talking, or a dictator, if you want to call it that, and a man who clearly believes that he is above all. Both of you came in there as a consequence of the approval, the approbation of the electorate. The people elect both of you. You can't feel that you better than he. How you better than he, Rowley? How?
Well,
go ahead, Dr. Khalid.
Lennox, I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
But it is.
Let's go straight to the line first before, of course, we take Dr. Khalid's assessment of the situation. I see he's smiling. Yes, indeed. Let's go straight there. We are trying to engage. What's the problem here now? Accept the call. I'm accepting the call. Yeah, boy, what's happening here now? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Right. Good. We are there. President, good morning. Welcome to the Corridor Sunday edition.
Good morning to Uncle Lennox and the gentleman next to you.
Yes, Dr. Khalid. Yeah, Dr. Khalid.
Morning, my dear. Morning, my brother. Yes, my brother. Morning.
I like the trend of thought and inspiration that they give it to the public. Uncle Lennox.
Hey.
The reason why, right, as you say, is a dictatorship, because the swelling dictator will only pronounce like those things to tell other people in power, right, that they will bully them. Now, the Martin area and the Port State area, if when the election is going on, that the people, so who's supposed to monitor the flow of voters are very vigilant. Rowley lost his last election, but you see, we go with the narrative. This is a safe seat for the PNM, and the activists are them who's supposed to do the work the right way and push and see that it go right, to make sure that no ills and other wrong things going on. That is where the problem is be, because in these areas like Rowley, in there, and the Avery Brown and Nosebreaker and them, you will find that the activists and them, or the opposition or the other parties, does not be vigilant, and they does not be proactive in getting the masses out, because they tell themselves that they're not what we fighting for, and then they'll come after election and say that we
try our best. And the machinery have to be more disciplined on the opposition. This is what we lack. And when Rowley see now, as you say, the PNM will come with a propaganda machine and make mischief, break the law. That's why Ella Harold Christopher is there. That's why the judiciary, they have Iva Archie, right? And then you see the police complaint, and then the Integrity Commission is there to protect him and all too. So all the different agencies will protect them when they do it the wrong way. And when we ask for observers, it have money and make all sorts of hoodwinking lies, and then they thief it. So that is the right way, and it's a good topic. And I hope many people understand this and they share this interview this morning. So have a nice day, gentlemen, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your very sagacious intervention and your personal input as well into this discourse. Yes, Dr. Khalid, you were on a roll. Of course, don't consider yourself interruptive or intrusive. No. That is what we cater for. So we will pause and you will take the floor, so to speak. That means as it may, Dr. Khalid.
Yes. So I was making the point. I was making the point that we, the opposition, don't know what we really have. We don't know that we are in a position to actually save Trinidad and Tobago. And that cannot be said by those who, for whatever reason, have the problem with her. It's not the problem. The problem is us. The problem is us bickering among ourselves, and we don't appreciate that the PNM is on the receiving end. I mean, look at Tobago, Lennox. You were saying all 15 was going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, because I'm always cautious.
Yes. Abundance of caution,
right.
yes.
And I said 12. Remember I told you that?
A bit conservative there.
Yes. 12. You say no. But you were almost on the verge of being right.
That's right.
Because I said 12.
Totally right.
Yes.
On the verge of being totally right. Not that I wasn't right. Totally right.
And I said 12. You said all 15.
Yes.
And they got 14.
They got 14, yes.
Now, since those young men settled down in Tobago, I am not seeing where PNM could win those 2 seats. If something happened and they scrape through to get 1, but they're not getting the 2. I'm also seeing Diego Martin is in trouble. Maybe with some hard work, all 3 could be in trouble. But I'm seeing, as I said, 2 already out of the PNM and going some miles away from them. Yes. Honestly.
Yeah.
The next one moving slowly, but surely.
Right.
I'm also seeing with some hard work, Stuart Young could be in trouble.
Stuart Young.
I'm seeing that. And St. Anne's East, that education minister could be in trouble. I'm seeing St. Joseph could move away from them. I'm also seeing Tanapuna. So, but it's all, and of course, Grandy.
Yes. Well, I think that is firm. That has
right.
been a fait accompli,
Good.
so to speak. Yes.
But in an election, when the wind going in one direction, sometimes you gain more seats.
Yes,
than you expect.
Yes, that's
because
right.
In 86, we were not seeing St. Anne's West being a part of the
victory team.
The victory team.
Yes, the opposition victory team.
We were not seeing
then,
that.
Yes.
We almost, Muriel Donovan almost got defeated by our deceased brother Wilfred. Almost.
Yes. That was the closest one would have reached in any of the Laventils. Right. It was Wilfred Farrell, then deceased, of course, now.
Yes.
Versus
Muriel
Donovan, Matt Davidson, also deceased. Yes, indeed. So, and I accept that assessment. I accept that implicitly and without any reservations. But of course, I want to say you came back strongly during the local government elections, because when I was saying that it will be closer to 14, I think I was predicting something like 7, 8, 9, 10. I think about 12 of the corporations. It turned out to be dead heat, 7-7. However, I want to say I taken credit for the fact that more electoral districts came into the camp of the UNC on this occasion as well. So you give some, you take some. So just so I didn't get my full 15 in Tobago, and then of course I have to compromise with my friend. We continue, of course, to wage each other. Of course, not for any financial or any other thing like putting your house on the line and so on.
Right.
But of course, our keen observation as to the politics, and then of course we wage each other on that basis, and then when the results come, that's the only time you could tell the proof of the pudding. Then you're able to do your post-mortem now,
Yeah.
and to, of course, accept defeat in the sphere or in the spirit of camaraderie and, of course, fear assessment. Go ahead, Dr.
Right.
Khalid.
But the thing is, Lennox, the political season, as far as I'm concerned, already have started.
Yes.
And 2024 will be very crucial and significant.
But I think we better continue with Kamala Prasad Bisesa
Yes.
and see what's happening. Of course, she gave us, of course, a synopsis of the role played between 2010 and 2015 and what is possible moving forward beyond 2025. So yes, so we want to do, and then of course you will see where she has.
Meet him for many failures. He's disqualified himself. I don't wish to speak to him. What you want me
she's
to put
talking
my
about
members
the-
through that as well?
Crime talk.
So you send Limo, and he said some of the worst ministers on that committee were. The few fellows he sent from his team. I mean, what can they tell us? How can they help us? And on top of that, when we say we want a stakeholder to come. For example, I'd like to see Gary Griffith as a stakeholder.
She's talking about the crime talk that has, well, virtually.
Man has experience. He was my national security minister for a while, and then he was your commissioner of police. So what's wrong? But then, no, you change it up. You will have 5, I will have 4, and you'll say, no, we don't want Gary. We don't want you. We don't want you. We don't want you. At the end of the day, it's just going to be a talk shop. A P&M talk shop. We will get absolutely nothing done. So he's now traveling the world where our country is. He's traveling the world around here, where we deteriorate in every area, as Munilal and JJ told you, others told you here. And in Darsing, I support your call that para report must not get sidestepped, lost, moved away. It has to come in and be made public to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. He, together with his lazy gang, they're traipsing across the globe. This lazy leader is living a life of funded taxpayer luxury and so on. Crime is a national emergency. Remember he told us that? A public health issue. I think you mentioned it before, my money is spent for the symposium, all these crazy things they're doing, and the crime is just not going away. So we talk about the crime talks. I want to make it very clear. Some media house asked me, and I try my best to answer, whether I felt insulted by Rowley ducking and hiding. I said, I am not insulted. But there are many citizens who feel insulted. I understand he's insecure with many irrational fears. This is not about ego or personal feelings. I believe we should work together for the greater good. They clearly do not want to explain to the country why they are refusing to work with stakeholders or for the Prime Minister to attend. Who am I supposed to speak to? If he doesn't attend, what is it? Ghosts? Because none of them have the authority. None of those members, he said, has any authority to agree to anything. So what's the point? As I say, talk shop again. I don't understand why government would continue to provoke and overwhelm and terrorize the population. They are traveling all over the world. They're begging everybody all over the world for help. But they wouldn't meet with our own local stakeholders here to get the help. This is where it is. This is where the problem is. You're going to Canada to beg. Anywhere you go, you're begging. TNT has now become a beggar in the international community. You have embarrassed us everywhere. You don't even know how to put on clothes to go to an official meeting. Go on with a tracksuit or whatever it was. I mean, a meeting of prime ministers, man. At least put on the clothes. If you're not real prime minister, put on the clothing of a real prime minister and make our country proud. You just embarrass us everywhere you go. Whenever Rowley's ready, when Rowley responds, I'm not insulted he has not replied because he has no answer. I raised 5 or 6 issues to please clarify before the talks take place. Why did you change from 4 each to 5-4? Why have you narrowed it? You asked me for recommendations. I sent you pages which you felt was too long letter. And now you remove all of that. You only want to deal with legislation. We have so many laws, so many pieces of legislation on our books, law books. What more legislation do you want? You begged us for the anti-gang law. Refused it. Then I said I will reverse the standing orders by consent and agree we'll bring it back and give you the support. We gave it to you. Instead, you're just making love now. with the gangs, with the gang members, when you should be locking them up. So my friends, I want to make two very important announcements tonight.
Yesterday, before we go there, of course, Dr. Khalid just stepped out. He will be back in momentarily. But of course, I want to tell you that she is correct. And I want to say, love making with the gangs is a real thing. And we have shown here on the corridor transformation where the very Minister of National Security is talking with, of course, gangland individuals in Bad Street, St. Paul Street, etc., as minister. Something that was tried already by Manning. Yeah, okay. Dr. Khalid is returning, so I will pause a bit and let him, of course, return, and then we will continue.
I said we won the local elections, even though we contested 31 less seats, which we gave to our partners. We are continuing to work, and you will vote again for safety and security. I want to make this announcement today. We will be holding anti-crime talks in the public domain. Rowley doesn't want to have it. So the UNC will engage. Some will prefer not to have their faces taped and so on, but we'll hold these consultations. Just like we did for the budget consultations, we will do those anti-crime talks as we go. The government doesn't want to talk to people. We will, and we must talk to them.
Have started.
Oh boy, oh boy. No boy, listen. Sorry about that. The mic was off. You know how it does me sometimes. So let me just regurgitate. I'm asking Dr. Khalid what is his view on the whole question of crime talks beginning from Monday, as well as nomination forms for persons interested in being candidates for the UNC from, of course, Monday as well. And I was just asking Dr. Khalid what are his views on those matters and developments. Go ahead, Dr. Khalid.
All right. As I've said, mentioned it earlier on, I've said that political season have started.
Yes.
And I also went on to say that 2024 will be very significant.
Yes.
Right? So the nomination forms, all that is good, is accepted. But in addition to that, you have to put things together, because some opposition, and I'm hard on the opposition.
So you say a machinery, a winning machinery, a victorious machinery from now.
Yes.
Okay.
Put it together. And a lot of the opposition, the people who call themselves, say that they're not PNM, because people will call them that, you know.
Yes.
Because they continue being one-sided and just attacking Kamala, but you're saying you're not PNM. Because right now, Kamala is not the problem. She's not. We got to get our team together. And then given certain things with her, after she win again, you don't know what will happen. But you can't continue attacking and taking our vision away from the PNM. Right now, the PNM is in the ring. like you and I in the ring, Lennox, and I out attacking somebody else outside. You just make a flip.
You're shorting Alex. You turn your back on me, you're shorting Alex.
But that's it.
Even if it's by foul.
Yes, and I turn it. Oh, you over there, and then I just get a snake blow.
Yeah, that's it. Knockout punch for you. Let's continue with, of course, Kamala Prasad Bisesa. We are coming rapidly to the end. Of course, we'll give you an additional maybe 5 minutes or so because it's now 9:54. So we have 6 more minutes. So let's see if we can wrap this thing up.
And to all those who is going to help David get his wish come true, and all the rest of us, we can't change stupid. We can't change incompetent, but we can certainly vote out stupid and vote out incompetent.
Oh my goodness. Dr. Khaled, that's a hit. That's a shot below the belt, boy. Yeah, but she hit me as sort of quasi Rowley there.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't what with stupid, but you can vote out. You can't change stupid, but you can vote out. Let me hear that again. I think that was lovely. Well put together, Kamala.
I understand he's insecure with many irrational fears. This is not about ego or personal feelings. I believe we should work together for the greater good. They clearly do not want to explain to the country why they are refusing to work with stakeholders or for the Prime Minister to attend. Who am I supposed to speak to? If he doesn't attend, what is ghosts? Because none of them have the authority. None of those members, he said, has any authority to agree to anything. So what's the point? As I say, talk shop again. I don't understand why government will continue to provoke and overwhelm and terrorize the population. They are traveling all over the world. They're begging everybody all over the world for help. But they wouldn't meet with our own local stakeholders here to get the help. This is where it is. This is where the problem is. You're going to Canada to beg. Anywhere you go, you're begging. TNT has now become a beggar in the international community. You have embarrassed us everywhere. You don't even know how to put on clothes to go to an official meeting.
Vaccine,
go on with a tracksuit or whatever it was.
Incompetence was clear.
A meeting of prime ministers, man. At least put on the clothes. If you're not real prime minister, put on the clothing of a real prime minister and make our country proud. You just embarrass us everywhere you go. Whenever Rowley's ready, when Rowley responds, I'm not insulted he has not replied because he has no answer. I raised 5 or 6 issues to please clarify before the talks take place. Why did you change from 4 each to 5-4? Why have you narrowed it? You asked me for recommendations. I sent you pages which you felt was too long letter. And now you remove all of that. You only want to deal with legislation. We have so many laws, so many pieces of legislation on our books, law books. What more legislation do you want? You begged us for the anti-gang law. Refused it. Then I said I will reverse the standing orders by consent and agree we'll bring it back and give you the support. We gave it to you. Instead, you're just making love now with the gangs, with the gang members, when you should be locking them up. So my friends, I want to make 2 very important announcements tonight. I said we won the local elections, even though we contested 31 less seats, which we gave to our partners. We are continuing to work, and you will vote again for safety and security. I want to make this announcement today. We will be holding anti-crime talks in the public domain. Rowley doesn't want to have it. So the UNC will engage. Some will prefer not to have their faces taped and so on, but we'll hold these consultations just like we did for the budget consultations. We will do those anti-crime talks as we go. The government doesn't want to talk to people. We will, and we must talk to them. And to all those who is going to help David get his wish come true, and all the rest of us, we can't change stupid. We can't change incompetent, but we can certainly vote out stupid and vote out incompetent. As we prepare to move into an election year, I serve notice tonight the United National Congress will open nominations for every single general election seat, every single one, all seats. And as some of the guys say, if you're a man or woman, you're free to put your nomination forms in Those forms will be available at the headquarters in December. So we are looking for candidates for the general election whenever it's called, but next year, know it is an election year, and we must start off on a strong footing to go forward, to bring back glory, to rescue TNT, to bring back safety and security. I have said...
Yeah, I want to get to, is it equivocal position, a double sentiment that was made, a sentiment I should say, or an overture that was made when she said that if you name man or woman, put in your nomination? Is it that for those persons who are criticizing, as well as those who believe that they are better leaders or could now dominate, do you sense that in that statement?
Well,
because certainly we know clearly of what she meant by you can't change stupid,
You can vote out stupid.
but you can vote it out. But that particular statement, you see, because these days she is using double entendre. She's using, of course, equivocal expressions and so on, and one has to now decipher as to what she means. Is she saying, if you name man or woman, put in your nomination? Those of you who are criticizing me, put in your nomination. Those of you who believe you could take over, well, I am the boss. I say elections, footing for the UNC. I got the votes. I was elected leader, not you. Are you getting that authoritative disposition? Not dictatorial, clearly, but certainly making it clear who is in charge, full stop.
She certainly is not a dictator, but she has gained more confidence.
Yes.
I mean, let's face it, Lennox. You can correct me. It's more than once or maybe twice that Kamala defeated most of the internal opposition within the UNC.
Yes.
Correct?
All the time, yes.
All right. So if they were to call another internal election, which I would not advise them to, but if they were to call one, it stands to reason she'll beat them again, or probably worse.
Of course.
Good. So 2024 is at hand, right? In less than a month time, 2024 is here, right? But 2025 election will be called.
Yes.
But in the Westminster system, the Prime Minister could call election anytime.
Yeah.
As a form of strategy, if Rowley think he has something to gain, he could just...
He will, if he thinks he has something to gain. Yeah.
He could just ease it on us. So you don't want to be caught backstepping.
That's right.
So the thing is, you have a lot of work got to be done. UNC have the 19 seats, but you have other people that you need to bring into strengthen. So it take a lot of doing. So I think my opinion is she is on the right track.
Yeah, and just as a side, but very relevant, and of course it speaks to Dr. Rowley, either cognitive or intellectual instability, because he did mention during the course of the campaign, the PNM campaign during the local government elections, that they say they want elections. Well, he called election and suggested that they got caught with their pants down, but it was the Privy Council that caused it.
Yeah.
I mean, how they get? Everybody knew that the election would have had to be sooner rather than later, but yet still he said they get caught with the pants down. He got caught with his pants down because he expected the election to be in this month or 2 or 3 months into the new year, because he went to the parliament with his thin majority, and of course to say that he postponing the local government election to this year, and of course it means therefore 3 months after 90 days you will get it, of course, next year. And he got caught in his pants down because the UNC went to the went to the Privy Council, and the Privy Council said election time. He got caught with his pants down. That is why, of course, he failed by some 60,000 persons who, of course, did not, put another way, not just did not vote for the PNM, but, of course, voted for the UNC instead. Dr. Khalid.
Yes, you're quite right. He got caught.
He got caught. Yeah, he got caught. But he has this tendency to be bravado, knowing full well that he is on the wrong side of history or the wrong side of the argument.
But you see, let me make this point, and I should have made it earlier on.
Yes.
A lot of Rowley and other PNM members, they have this way to adopt attitude of the founding father, Eric Williams. Remember when Eric used to talk about if you put a balize on this one or that one,
yeah,
they will
tie on a crapo.
Right,
yeah.
a balize tie on a crapo, people will vote for it. In a way, he was kind of right, because of the divided racial politics. But so these are the PNM adopting this kind of thing is not going to work for them.
Yeah, and of course, they did cater, like often say, a social media platform that has taken over mainstream.
But
didn't cater for a Dr. Khalid and Lennox Smith, and of course, a corridor transformation, ground report, Annie Roberts, Victor Roberts, and we can go on and on. And even those who consider themselves PNM, what I consider to be talk show hoax. Yes, talk show hoax, phantoms. They simply can't make because they have no substance, and their credibility in such circumstance shows that they are mere blabbermouth, as opposed to, of course, backing up what they are saying and finding the technology in order so to do as we are doing now. Let's say Kamala Prasad Bisesa in the most recent Monday night exercise of the UNC. The one before, when she was dressed in yellow, but tonight, on this occasion, she was in black and yellow, I believe, and a little white in it.
Several matters I'd like to raise tonight, and before I get into the substance of that, I want to welcome all of you again and thank you. I want to extend best greetings, best wishes to all of you for a holy, very blessed Christmas season, filled with goodwill, filled with happiness and peace. I ask you to reach out even more to the many distressed and less fortunate persons suffering some form of hardship, and there are many in our country. I urge you to be extremely cautious with your safety and security, since blood continues to flow in our unending violent crime crisis. As I said before I go into the substance of issues, I just want to share some party matters with you.
So listen to this.
Announced that we will be opening nominations for the general elections so that we will be ready whenever those elections are called. Tonight, I want to advise you to take notice that the forms will be available from Monday, the 11th December at the party headquarters in Chaguanas. Between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m., except of course during the lunch hours. Tomorrow. Every registered member of our party who has been a member for over 1 year is entitled to collect a form and file a nomination. Our constitution is clear. You have to be a member for at least 1 year. Only then will you qualify to become a nominee for general elections.
And in the interest of time, because we're already 8 minutes past 8, of course, I will play that again tonight, but I'll remind you tonight. But of course, one of the things that they have put in place is that you must call the office, must call headquarters to get an appointment. You cannot go bike, you cannot go willy-nilly, you cannot go off the street without an appointment and get a form if you are interested. They want to make it orderly, and they want a very limited chaos as these situations normally would attract. So let's go straight, of course, to some of the policies and programs that the UNC would implement. Continuation of what transpired between 2010 and 2015. Much more superior, and of course rendering what Rowley would have said on Thursday null and void and of no effect. When you hear him talk, as I said last night, you would believe that independent Republic Trinidad and Tobago started as a nation between 2010 and 2015. That is how jokey this man is. Yeah. You know what I say? Because he started to talk about the last administration did not negotiate a better gas price. You're so stupid. You don't understand that when their turn was to pick up from where the PNM left off under Manning and himself, when they did not invest in upstream and they had to give incentive to the upstreamers, BP and Shell and so on, in order to get them here, because that was at a time when shale gas was discovered and oil in the United States, so much so that the United States is now an exporter of these items. So what do? You must attract them and you must provide the incentivization in order to make it happen. That is what she did, because the Manning administration and Rowley and they in 2008 and 9 did not consider that gas was a wasting asset and therefore would be running out, as was the case when he was in the Manning administration. The gas shortage started in the Manning administration and continued into the Kamala Persad-Bissessar administration. But Rowley would like you to believe that all of that, the whole of Trinidad and Tobago, the country called Trinidad and Tobago, started in 2010 and he came in 2015. Oh, what a dishonest
will now stand with the people of Ghana in 2023 and 2024. The same playbook. Venezuelan elections are due in 2024. And so you're hearing the war cries, beating the war drums, mustering troops. Venezuelan elections due 2024. Maduro returns with the same tired dictator playbook. He threatens Ghana and makes territorial claims to whip up national support. It didn't work in 2015. It will not work again in 2023 and 4. I don't want to hear that my support is because Ghana has oil. And we look at those numbers, we had 31 less seats running on a UNC ticket than the PNM. Less, you know. But we got 43,000 more votes.
Lines.
Oh boy, oh boy.
What happened?
Say it over again. Say it over again. Sorry about that, people. Sorry about that. Oh boy, the mic was off. Go ahead, Dr. Khalid. Closing remarks.
Yes, people. Last week, I miss you all, but we were able to make some points today. And next week, God's willing, we will continue along those lines.
Yes, and let me repeat what I was saying. I had to do it twice now. I was making the point that Dr. Rowley is trying to make a fool of us and to make us believe that the country called Trinidad and Tobago, politically and evolutionary, started in 2010 by always referring, of course, to the last administration. That is despicable. He should be auditioning for Larry Joseph and Tommy Joseph, having regarded to the comic and the lunacy that he speaks on a daily basis. I mean, come on. How more insultive can you be? And how more embarrassing can Trinidad and Tobago, or embarrassment to Trinidad and Tobago can take regionally, of course, hemispherically, and so on? How dare he believe that he can do that and get away with it? Come on. So, of course, we will talk a little more. I'll have to, of course, explain that a little more. I think it was important when I made that intervention. But that being as it may, of course, have a wonderful rest of the day. God bless. And, of course, don't forget that tonight the corridor transformation continues. And, of course, tomorrow morning, the ground report, Andy, Mikey, and myself, as we continue, of course, to treat with the issues of the day.
All in favor, joyful and triumphant. O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh,
in age and he want a helper. So he looking for a wife, the ideal companion, and he know the best woman from the Caribbean. Santa looking for a wife, Santa looking for a wife, Santa looking for a wife, Santa looking for a wife. He want a Caribbean woman. He loves soca and parang. He loves suke and reggae. And he learning to be holy. Santa looking for a wife, Santa looking for a wife, Santa looking for a wife, Santa looking for a wife from the Caribbean. Santa passed through Jamaica, he passed through Antigua, he passed through St. Lucia, then he went to Grenada, in Trinidad and Tobago. Santa confused for so much a nice woman throughout the Caribbean. Santa looking for a wife, Santa looking for a wife, Santa looking for a wife, Santa looking for a wife. Santa want a lalu with flying fish and cuckoo. Ella with big tail so tasty, but all he want is so